Welcome to the RJI Futures Lab, where we help you make your organization more innovative. I'm Ruben Stern. This week, a trip to BuzzFeed to learn how they make content that readers want to share. BuzzFeed has built itself into a digital media empire by focusing on content that people are likely to share with others. That includes traditional reported news stories, along with the bread and butter of social media feeds, lists, quizzes, and other stuff engineered to get attention. We visited their office to find out how BuzzFeed attracts millions of unique visitors every month.
A lot of it is more human than you would think. We spend a lot of time thinking about what we like to share with our friends and family, and what people that we know share, and sort of trying to get into the mindset of someone who would look at our content and like it enough to be shared. Ultimately, really what it comes down to is that people want to share good content that gives them some kind of strong response. We have different measures of success internally, like dashboards and leaderboards and things like that, and they're all sorted not by page views but by viral views, and so by the amount of traffic that's coming from people sharing the content. So coming from Facebook, coming from Twitter, coming from email. That's what's important to us, because if you think about page views, something can get a lot of views without people actually liking it. And we want people to love our content and be delighted by it. And so for us, that social traffic is really all that we focus on. And we think of it as a failure if something is getting a lot of page views but people aren't sharing it. If you post something like Kim Kardashian, nip slip or something, you're going to have a lot of people clicking on it, sort of despite themselves. Like, they click on it, they're immediately embarrassed that they clicked on it, they sort of close the window, they're never going to share it with their friends. You're not really adding any value to their lives. When you talk about a great news story on kind of a niche topic, what you want is to reach the audience that's interested in that. For my team, we do posts about personal identity a lot. So we might do a post like 24 signs that you grew up in Dallas. And that's a much smaller audience than a post like 23 gifts that will make you laugh. But those people who did grow up in Dallas are so likely to love that content and share it and feel like it's for them, that for us it's a win if it reaches that audience. Basically, all of the tools that anyone in the company has to sort of look at analytics, to study like what people's habits are, what they're sharing. Our editors have access to all of that, and we just encourage them to sort of iterate on their own successes.
Burton says it's important not to rely solely on the numbers. As an example, she points to online quizzes, which BuzzFeed started publishing as early as 2008. They were not immediately popular, but the staff kept trying anyway.
We still had sort of an intuition that they would be able to do well, and so we continued to experiment, and then as they evolved, that iteration on success is what made them eventually a big deal, and we kind of created the BuzzFeed quiz that's now fairly ubiquitous. Mid last year we had a quiz, which grease pink lady are you? That wasn't mega viral, but got a ton of sharing, and over the course of months kind of built up. And so our editors said, well, what was it about that quiz? Well, it's a personality quiz, it tied into fandom, it gave people these like flattering archetypes that they could relate to and share. And so they started creating sort of variations on that idea. And then we had a quiz that was very successful, what city should you actually live in? And we said, well, this quiz looked a certain way that was very visually appealing and looked great on a mobile device. And it had this idea of sort of like guessing something about your actual identity or your secret self. And so they started iterating on that. And that led to our biggest post of all time, what state do you actually belong in? Which is pretty clearly an analog to that city quiz, and really only happened because we were giving editors the, encouragement to look at data.
Since its founding, BuzzFeed has identified primarily as a tech company. That mindset leads to unique insights. It also means that new capabilities are continually built right into BuzzFeed's proprietary content management system.
So we focus much more on CMS tools. So our developers spend a lot less time on specific posts and a lot more time building tools that can be used over and over again. So the quiz tool is an example of that. Our new slidey thing that you've seen probably, where two pictures are sort of compared to each other and you can slide across to go to sort of before and after or now and then. That also was immediately built into our CMS rather than sort of being built for an individual post. And that gives editors, who are really the people, thinking creatively, thinking about sharing, more than developers are, the tools to experiment freely. The news and journalism we do is very much similar to traditional media, but for my team, having that creativity of having the developers in-house, actually being able to collaborate with them on things like interactive games has made a huge difference. When we started seeing more and more people using mobile, now over half of our audience visits on a mobile device, we were sort of already anticipating that because we were thinking as a tech company. We built a mobile preview into our CMS about a year ago, and that's been really helpful for people. You know, it's easy when you're an editor with a big monitor and a big second monitor and you're able to look at this thing on a desktop computer. It's easy to sort of imagine everyone's viewing your content that way, but it's important to us that people imagine people viewing their content on a phone and make sure that everything they make works on a phone and works well and loads quickly. And so we have this mobile preview built into our CMS. And I think the next step after that we're starting to think about is having tools for editors to create content on a mobile device so that they're even more sort of focused on what the actual consumer is going to be doing. I think the mobile trend is really interesting, and I think it relates to a lot of other trends that we've seen. There's kind of an adage that people in the industry talk about that the homepage is dead, and that works well with what we're already doing. People are accessing our content through their social feeds anyway. That's always been our goal. But I think you'll just see more and more of that. You'll see fewer, especially younger people, people not really visiting homepages, not really visiting web pages, but really getting all of their news and information from Facebook, from Twitter, from Tumblr, even from Snapchat, from messaging their friends.
As part of a reorganization announced recently, Burton will lead a new division called BuzzFeed Distributed. That team of about 20 people will create original content specifically for social and messaging platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, and Vine. And that's it for this report from the RJI Futures Lab. I'm Ruben Stern. We'll see you in the future.